Hello and welcome to Virtucon3's review of the Globex Corporation's Corporate Network Project. My name is Jasmin and I'll be taking you through the initial part of this presentation, which summarises the planning phases of this project and the project submissions to date. I'll then hand you over to my colleagues Sana Afzal and Amrit Mullee to take you through the technical detail of the project. I'll now give you a bit of information around Globex Corporation and the brief we received. Globex Corporation was founded in 2013 through the merger of two large regional businesses and now has 3 locations in the Riverina region, one in Albury, one in Griffith and one in Wagga Wagga. The brief received by Virtucon3 was to design the corporate network infrastructure for the 3 offices. However, due to project resource constraints, it has been mutually agreed that only the Albury and Wagga Wagga offices are in scope for this project. The Virtucon3 project team consists of 3 team members. Myself, Jasmin, responsible for project management and administration, plus technical research. Also in the team is Sana Afzal and Amrit Mullee, who are working closely together on requirements gathering and specification, technical design, testing, and of course implementation. The Virtucon3 team meets at a minimum of once per week, often more regularly as required. The main Globex Corporation contacts are Joe Bloggs, the IT manager, and Coco Vanderweege, the program manager. The Virtucon3 team is in regular contact with both Joe and Coco through fortnightly catch-ups plus email communications as necessary. The following slides outline each of the key submissions to date, including proof of submission from each team member. As these submissions are discussed throughout this presentation, I won't detail them further here. The project kicked off in early March 2015 when the Virtucon3 team was formed and received the brief from Globex Corporation. After the initial briefing from Joe and Coco and a review of the information provided, Virtucon3 worked closely together to develop the initial project charter and draft project development plan. The project management plan has since been updated several times to reflect new and more detailed information as it has become available. After the initial submissions, further meetings with Joe and Coco resulted in the requirement specifications document and technical environment scan being completed and submitted. As a side project, a feasibility study was conducted to assess whether Globex Corporation should move all of its operations to a cloud environment, but it was decided to continue on with the current corporate network project. I'll now hand over to my colleagues Amrit and Sana to discuss the technical components of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmin. Hi guys, my name is Sana Afzal. Today I will be taking you through the corporate network design solution for Globex Corporation. The main objectives we had at Virtucon3 was to be able to come up with a network design solution that was simple yet very effective. We wanted to make sure that it was easily implementable and also that it had potential for expansion in the future. Globex Corporation had provided sitemaps for both Albury and Wagga Wagga to Virtucon3, as well as a confirmation about pre-installed cabling. After careful consideration, we decided to choose Cisco Systems for the implementation of the corporate design network. We will be using a Cisco 3850 Power over Ethernet Plus switch, which will be connected to the router using a .1Q trunking protocol. Server and user VLANs will be configured on this switch with an IP subnet of /24 to give sufficient address space. All peripheral devices such as printers, scanners, audiovisual equipment, IP phones will also be connected to this switch. A Cisco 2951 router, which has a minimum 2 gigabit Ethernet interface, will be used. The Cisco 3850 switch will be connected to this router using the trunking protocol .1Q. We will be using static routes as dynamic routing protocols are not necessary at this time. DHCP configurations will be configured to handle requests from the clients on a router interface, and a default route will be configured for all the external firewall access. Cisco Adaptive Security Appliance, or ASA Firewall 5506-X, has been configured to give secure access and establish the IPsec tunnel between Wagga Wagga and Albury. The firewall will be configured with an inside and outside interface with access control lists to restrict external traffic. Network address resolutions will be put into place to keep the network secure from external attacks. The IPsec tunnel will be configured between Albury and Wagga Wagga ASA firewalls for secure communication. IPsec will provide bidirectional encryption of the traffic so that when communication is initiated between the two sites, the data is encrypted. The ASA firewall will be configured with an interesting IP address list, and the ACL, or the access control list, on both Wagga Wagga and Albury will contain source and destination IP addresses. 3 DES or AES will be the protocols used to encrypt the traffic. To give an idea and understanding, I've added a few slides showing the Cisco devices we will be using to create the corporate network for Globex Corporation. As you can see, the first image shows the Cisco 3850 switch with its 48 ports. The next image is the Cisco 2951 router with its gigabit interfaces. And last but not least, here's a depiction of the Cisco ASA Firewall 5506-X. Both the front and the back of the device have been illustrated here. Lastly, here's a logical design network diagram depicting the corporate network design for Globex Corporation. As you can see, the Cisco 3850 switch is connected to the peripheral devices as well as the users and servers. The switch is then connected to the 2951 router using the .1Q trunking protocol. The ASA firewall is on the outer edge of the network, one end connected to the router, whereas the other is connected to the IPsec tunnel as well as the DSL router. The IPsec tunnel connects both the Albury and Wagga Wagga locations using the ASA firewall. Thank you very much. Now here's Amrit Mullee with the rest of the presentation.
Thank you for that, Sana. Hi, my name is Amrit Mullee, and I will be finishing off this presentation. As both Jasmin and Sana have already delved into the objectives for this particular solution, I will be going straight into the key components related to the Windows Server design. Virtucon 3 have elected to use a traditional virtualization model without the complexity of replication and redundancy. This has actually been provided in order to meet one of the key components from Globex, which is cost reductions. We will be utilizing this particular design at each office. In each office, we will have a single Hyper-V instance with 2 virtual machines located on that physical server. The first VM will consist of a DNS, DHCP, AD, and file server, as well as any other miscellaneous roles, while VM2 will be dependent on which site it's actually located in. However, the 2 options you have there is terminal services or exchange. Here you see the build details as discussed on the previous slide. One key point to note is originally Virtucon 3 opted for a Hyper-V CLI only edition to be installed on the physical server. This was due to cost-cutting measures, as there was no licensing fee associated with this build. However, after further investigation and testing, Virtucon 3 have elected to use a standard edition with the Hyper-V role installed. Although this does add cost with the licensing, it reduces a large amount of complexity for management. As a proof of concept, we have deployed our suggested Windows design on a VMware testbed. What you see here is the Albury site with Hyper-V as the base installation, with both VM1 and VM2 installed. VM1 is completely configured and is now in the testing phase. On behalf of Virtucon 3, Jasmin, Sana, and myself, I would like to thank you for listening to this presentation. We look forward to further collaboration with Globex Corporation into the future. Goodbye.